All right, welcome back to Mr. P Helps with Math. This is Unit 0, Lesson number 5. So in this one, we're going to be writing slope-intercept form when given a slope and a point. And the first thing we're going to do is find the slope when given 2 points. In this case, you're going to use that formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So all you need to do here is decide which point's going to be the first and the second. So this is an x and this is a y, and this is also an x and a y, and I'm going to call these two the first point and these two the second point. All right, so now all I got to do is really just plug it in. So we have y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that leaves us with 18 minus 2 over 5 minus negative 3. Now 18 minus 2 is going to give us 9. 5 minus negative 3 is going to give us, I'm sorry, look at me. Sorry, let me try that again. So not divide. 18 minus 2 is 16. 5 minus negative 3 is 8. And then divide and you get 2 is the slope. So we're up to right 1. Same thing over here. So we have 2 minus 1 on top and negative 4 minus negative 2 on bottom. 2 minus 1 is 1, and 4 minus negative 2 is negative 2. So there's your slope. Up 1, left 2, or that could be also down 1, right 2. That'd be the exact same slope. All right, so now rewriting these. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to solve it for y. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides, and that's going to give me 5y equals 20 minus x, or, you know, if I'm going to put this in y-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, slope-intercept form, sorry. So if I put it in slope-intercept form, that's your slope, and b is your y-intercept. All right, so if I'm going to do that, I'm going to put negative x plus 20, just to put it in mx plus b instead of b plus mx. All I really did was switch it around. So once again, so if I took this term and I basically just switched them around. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 5. And then that's going to leave us with, now both these terms both have to be divided by 5, and think of this as an imaginary 1. So that's really negative 1/5 x plus 20 divided by 5 is 4. Now over here we have subtract 3x from both sides, and same thing like I did a second ago. I'm going to rearrange it so it's negative 3x plus 15. So when you rearrange, just keep the signs that are in front of it. And then divide both sides by negative 1, so changing effectively everything over here to the opposite, and you get 3x minus 15. So this is standard form, this is slope-intercept form. If you graph this or graph this, they're going to be the exact same graph, no difference. Just a different way of writing the same equation. Find the equation. Okay, so now they're giving us the slope, and they're giving us a point on that graph, and we're supposed to figure out, well, what would the equation have to be if the slope were that? So now if I'm just looking at a graph, so I go right 1, down 2, so just a rough sketch here, and the slope is 3, that'd be up 1, 2, 3, right 1. So clearly we know the slope is 3 because they told it to us. But the question is, where is it going to hit the y-intercept down here? Now, I just did a rough sketch, so we know it's going to be negative something. And the way I'm going to do it, and there's several ways to do it, I'm going to plug in what I do know into the slope-intercept form of y equals mx plus b. And I'm going to solve for b, because essentially that's what I'm trying to figure out. Where is that? So I know it's, at negative, it's more than 2, because this is down 2. It must be down, maybe 3 or 4, something like that. Or maybe it's a fraction, which I believe is what ends up happening here. So I'm going to take this point. That's the y. The slope is 3. The x, which is right here, is 1. And let's solve for b and figure out what that y-intercept has to be. 3 times 1 is 3. Subtract 3 from both sides. Okay, and it looks like it's not going to be a fraction. It's going to be exactly negative 5. So there's our equation. Y equals 3x minus 5. And once again, just by doing this rough sketch, that seems like a reasonable answer, because remember, this had a height of 2, and just rough sketch, this is, twice as low as that. So in this case, a little bit more than twice as low. Find the equation of a line has a slope of 8. So same steps here. So that's going to be y equals m times x plus b. Now that's 56. Pen, here we go. That's supposed to be a B right there. Equals negative 2. And then when you subtract 56 from both sides, then you end up finding out that B is negative 58. So now that we know the y-intercept, now we also know the slope because they told it to us. So we know it's y equals 8x minus 58 is our equation that goes through this point with that slope. This is the same thing. The only slight difference to this is they're giving us an equation and they're telling us that the new equation is going to be parallel to it. Now, it's hard to tell what the slope is here, so what I'm first going to do is I'm going to rearrange this into slope-intercept form. And so I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides, give me negative 3y equals negative 2x plus 5. Divide both sides by negative 3, and then that's going to give you negative divided by negative is positive 2/3 x minus 5/3. Now it's negative because, 5 divided by negative 3 is a negative. Negative is the same thing as minus. All right, so now that I know the equation of this, what I do know, because it told us, is that the equation is going to be parallel, which means it's got to have the same slope. Because anytime you have, if this is up to right 3 and you have another line that's up to right 3, but maybe it has a different y-intercept, it's going to be parallel if it has the same slope. So we know it's y equals 2/3 x plus something or minus something, but we don't know, but it has to go through this point. So just like I did on the last slide, I'm going to plug in what I know. I know the slope is 2/3, and I know it's going to be multiplied by an x of 2. And then plus b. So negative 1 equals 2 times 2/3 is 4/3. And then subtract 4/3 from both sides. Now remember, negative 1 is really negative 3/3 minus 4 more thirds makes negative 7/3. All right, so there is our y-intercept, and we are done in slope-intercept form. All right, number 4. Only difference between this question and the last one is that it says perpendicular. Now, to break that down a little bit, so this slope right here is down to right here. Let's just say the point is at 0, 0. Down to right 3, or up to left 3 if you want to make the bottom number negative. This would be down to if you want to make the top number negative. Okay, so we know it's going to go down like this. Now, what would be perpendicular to that? Well, that would be up 3, right 2. Well, that happens to be the negative reciprocal. So if this is negative 2/3, then this would have to be positive 3/2. So basically, you have to take the slope and flip it. That's the reciprocal. But then also change it to the opposite. If it's negative, make it positive, or positive, make it negative. So we know that m is going to be positive 3/2 because 2/3 flipped to 3/2, and since it was negative, it has to change to a positive. So meaning that our equation, which we can already write, but we just don't know the y-intercept. So once again, like we've done on the last questions, let's plug in the point that they gave us and find what the y-intercept would have to be with that slope. So that would be y equals m times x, and then plus b. Now, 3 times 3 is 9/2. All right, and then subtract 9/2 from both sides. Remember, 1 is 2/2, same thing, 2/2. 2 minus 9/2 is going to give me negative 7/2. And there is our equation, because that's the y-intercept of the new perpendicular line. All right, so this last question is all pretty much the exact same thing as we just did a second ago. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides. That means it's y equals negative x plus 7. That's what this equation is to begin with. Now, it says to do it for both parallel and perpendicular. So if I'm doing parallel first, that'd be y equals negative x, or negative 1x, plus the y-intercept. So let's see, 2 equals, the slope is negative 1 times x, which is negative 3, and then plus the y-intercept. So that becomes positive 3, and then add 3. Oh, wait, that was positive, so subtract 3. Sorry, subtract 3. So b is negative 1. All right, so it looks like negative x minus 1 is the answer for part A. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing, but I'm going to change the slope to the negative reciprocal. So negative 1, which is this, flips to literally almost the same thing. It just got to change to the opposite. The reciprocal of 1 is still 1 in this case. So once again, let's test it. So let's plug these numbers in. So that's 2 equals, now it's got a slope of positive 1 this time, times negative 3 plus b. So that's negative 3, and then add 3 to both sides, and you get 5. So the equation is positive x, sorry, it's perpendicular, so positive x, m is 1 now, m plus 5, x plus 5. All right, and I think that's it for this lesson. Thanks again for watching, and please look forward to the next video. Have a great day.